Happy Holy Hump Day on this January 27th, everyone. I'm Pastor Robert. Welcome to this midweek time where I can share some thoughts with you. And for today, the thought that I'd like to share with you is talk a little bit about our administrative life here at Athens First. And I know that doesn't sound really exciting, but I do think it's really important, for people to know how we function as a church administratively. So we have what's called a leadership board. And the reason why I was thinking of sharing about the leadership board with you today is because tomorrow I'm going to have a leadership board meeting. It's going to be our first one of the new year, and we're going to be welcoming a couple new people to the leadership board. But the leadership board consists of 12 people, and these are all people that have been recruited, that have put in an application to be considered to be on leadership board, where I have met with them. Some other folks have met with them, and they even have an application that they fill out. And so some of the questions are, do you understand the mission and the vision and the discipleship strategy of our church? And we also give them information that explains all of those things. Do you have any concerns about that vision and that discipleship strategy? Because we want people that are going to be focusing on, what is our main purpose. And our main purpose is to make disciples of Jesus Christ for the transformation of our community and world by helping people to have a loving faith, a learning faith, and a living faith. And so, if people have questions about that before they would become part of leadership board, we want to make sure that they're 100% supportive of that vision and discipleship strategy. And then it just talks about, how have you supported the church with your prayers, presence, gifts, service, and witness, so that, we can see fruit from their participation in the life of our church. And then we talk about, how do you feel called? How do you feel God is calling you to be on this leadership board? Because we do feel that it is a calling to serve on the leadership board. And then it lists the different sub-teams that we have on leadership board. And those include, we have a trustees sub-team that takes care of all the maintenance needs of our property and of our equipment. And we have what's called a finance team, which oversees the finances of the church and reports on the finances of the church. We have a staff parish team, so whenever there's a staff vacancy, they're the ones responsible for finding people to interview to be considered for the position. And then we have a nominations team, and the nominations team is who recruits and interviews people to be on the leadership board. So the leadership board, it consists of 12 people. We have these 4 different sub-teams, and they meet as needed in between the leadership board meetings and report to the leadership board. So that's what's going to happen tomorrow night. These sub-teams are each going to report to the leadership board, the bigger group. So, we have this application process, and when we do select people to be on the leadership board, we do look for diversity on the group, age diversity, also, male, female, and, other kinds of diversity that we want to make sure the leadership board has different voices so that we can be diverse in how we approach church life here at Athens First. So that's important too. Wanted to share quickly some core values of the leadership board. The basic core value is that we are really focused on making sure that our vision, which is to make disciples of Jesus Christ for the transformation of our community and world, and our discipleship strategy, which is to have a loving faith, a learning faith, and a living faith, to make sure that that is the main emphasis of our church, and to make sure that the staff has the resources, the encouragement, the support needed to be able to engage the whole congregation to live out that vision and that discipleship strategy. So that is really the main purpose of the leadership board. We operate by consensus rather than by voting. When you vote, you have winners and losers, and we want to have a culture where we're all on the same page. If anyone has a question or a concern. We would rather have a conversation that would then lead to a consensus rather than, people upset because, they were outvoted or something like that, and there's hard feelings. So it's a wonderful spirit of trust in the leadership board, and that's something that we work on as well, to develop this connection, this spiritual connection. One of the things we do to help with that is at the beginning of each meeting, we are given the opportunity to share our thin place moment, our God moment that maybe happened recently where we have felt God in a very real way. And so we share these stories, and they're very uplifting, and they have a way of connecting us with each other, and we pray together. So we truly are a support group together, as well as being a leadership board looking out for the administrative needs of the church. So, and then the other thing I think is important with the leadership board is that, we seek to find ways to engage the congregation in living out our vision and in our discipleship strategy. So there's a whole nother model that churches can use that's different from this model. This is a very streamlined model where we have this one leadership board of 12 people where there are sub-teams that report back to the leadership board. So it's just this one entity. There's another model where you have all of these different committees with a lot of different people serving on committees. And I guess the advantage of that can be, well, you have a lot of people serving on committees. The disadvantage is sometimes a lot of these committees that are happening, they can become silos and they're not talking to each other. But in this system, everybody who's on a sub-team, the ones I've mentioned, like nominations and finance and trustees and staff parish, they're also part of the leadership board, so they're all hearing the same information. So it really has a streamlined effect, and everyone's on the same page that way. And it frees up people, instead of having to serve on all these different committees, it frees them up to be in ministry, and that's what we want people to do. We want people to be using their gifts and passions to live out their faith through the life of our church. And if people do have a gift or a talent to share on the leadership board, they certainly can serve on the leadership board and be on one of those sub-teams that's part of leadership board. So I hope that's helpful, in describing our leadership board. So, our meetings we try to keep them to an hour and a half or less. They're very efficient. And, during the global pandemic, we've been meeting by Zoom, and that's how we're going to meet tomorrow night, by Zoom. But it works out quite well, and I really appreciate our leadership board. So whenever we have a leadership board meeting, our secretary always gives the minutes to our office manager, who then puts it in our Friday Connections that's mailed out. It's part of our weekly newsletter that we send out. If you're not subscribed to our email Connections, you can do that, and we can help you with that. Or we can get those minutes to you in another way if you don't have email capability. So we want to be as transparent as possible, by giving people the minutes so that they can see that. So please keep our leadership board in your prayers and thoughts. We're beginning a new year. We have some new people coming on board. I just want to share quickly who's on the leadership board for 2021. And again, they serve on 3-year terms. So a third of the leadership board, they rotate off, each year, and then new people are recruited to be on the leadership board. So we have Chris Knisley, who helps with trustees, John Daller, who is also serves on our Growing Tree Advisory Board. I didn't mention that earlier, but we always have a connection with our Growing Tree Advisory Board, which is a whole other committee working with Growing Tree. Logan Waldy, who is our leadership board chairperson beginning this year, and he's also a member of our nomination sub-team. Brenda Knopfs, she is our staff parish chairperson of that sub-team. Dave DeBelco is our finance chairperson. Melissa Brobeck is on our staff parish team. Jeff Freimeyer is new this year, and he is serving on finance. Jack Bigger is on our trustees sub-team. Dan Smith is on our trustees sub-team. Kristen Kerwin serves on nominations. Aaron Eccleberry serves on staff parish. And Carlin Rickey is our secretary. So we have those 12 folks, and then I work with them. They're a wonderful group, and look forward to meeting with them tomorrow. Want to invite you to be part of our Sunday 10:30 worship service, both in person in the sanctuary with masks and social distancing, or you can watch us on our church's YouTube channel. The theme is going to be compassionate humanity, and it's based on a healing story of Jesus. And I'm sure that you will appreciate this Sunday's worship at 10:30. And so may God bless you, and may God watch over you as we continue to keep safe together.